A happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report as we're live right here on Chat Sports on this beautiful July 18th of 2024. I'm Chase Sr., and no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, as always, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. Niners training camp getting underway on Tuesday. So coming up, going through the latest Niners news, rumors, and analysis really before the season gets underway in a way. Coming up here, Niners Report Rundown. We're, of course, going to give you the latest on Brandon Aiyuk. What does the future hold for Deebo Samuel? And what does this trade request mean for Deebo? Whoa. We're going to take a look at some Brandon Aiyuk trade destinations and some teams that are rumored to be interested in him, as evidenced by the title of the live show here today. And then we'll round out with the mailbag. Get those questions in right now. Use the hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat. We have a lot of real ones in the building who got that notification, who are already joining us here. Really appreciate all of you for hitting that bell icon and having the notis on. But if you're pumped up for the start of training camp, I want you to type SF down in the comment section. As far as some of our recent commenters here, I'm seeing Keith, Black Mask, Jesse Sr., Hamburger, LOLJXY, James Rogers, and Anthony. I also see Buddy Bear in the chat. Came up, type in SF. Black Mask, type in SF. Keith saying, what up, Chase? What up, Keith? Clown, type in that SF as well. Continue to do that. We got producer Chip on the ones and twos, and we have Niner fans rocking with us from every pocket of America and worldwide. Of course, the main topic at hand and the key storyline really throughout this entire offseason is Brandon Aiyuk. And in football, continuity, very, very important. And that's why I think the Niners need to find a way to figure out things with Aiyuk for the 2024 season. You have this golden opportunity to win a Super Bowl. You have a really special roster. And the offense isn't the same unit without Aiyuk as compared to him being on the team. He has this harmonious on-field relationship with Brock Purdy. And if Aiyuk does play for the Niners this year, we're going to see an offense that made it to the Super Bowl, that returns all 11 starters, was first in points per game last year, first in offensive efficiency, first in expected points added, and second in yards per game. That's why I think that Brock Purdy can take another step if Aiyuk comes back, and why this offense can once again be an elite unit. If you want to donate to the show and support us, we certainly appreciate that. Here's our super chat menu. $5, we'll do some jumping jacks. $10, some push-ups. $20 for some squats, but it's a thirsty Thursday. We're always down to clown. $50 for a beer bong, $100 for a beer boot. Segment number 4, going to be a mailbag. Get those questions or those hot takes in, hashtag 49ers, or send in a super chat. And I need everybody right now to support the show by hitting that thumbs up icon and liking the video, because if you're ready to talk some Niners, I want you to like the video right now. Chip's ready. I'm ready. I hope you're all ready. I see a couple of legends in the building. Nick Dolfer sending out that bracelet today for your daughter, by the way. I gave it to our shipping department. And then Black Mask, 2 of our big super chat heavy hitters. Hope everybody out there is having a great summer. And with Niners training camp getting underway on Tuesday, we're going to see some legends return and some real ones return right here on the show. Speaking of that, words of wisdom, he is back as well. It's always a good sign because that means that the season is so close to getting here. We're going to start off with segment number 1, Brandon Aiyuk update, and really walk you through some necessary information that you need to know. Can we get to 50 likes in the next 30 seconds? I need everybody rocking with us to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Nick, you said thank you. No problem, my brother. He also said, what's up to Words? Tyrek saying, what up? Words of wisdom. Man, I missed you guys. Yeah, we're going to be going live for all of these preseason games as watch parties will return right here on this show. Let's get it cranked up. Let's get it started. Let's run it up. The Niners Report Live begins right now. Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, I appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. And coming up, we're going to give you all of the necessary information that you need to know on the Brandon Aiyuk front following his trade request the other day, where things stand with the Niners' number one wide receiver, with training camp coming up on Tuesday. And speaking of that, our coverage is about to be fire, and I think that every single day we bring something special to the table right here on this program. That's why we're the largest independently run Niners channel on YouTube. So join the faithful family here at Chat Sports. Hit that sub button as we approach 135,000 subscribers, and we can start talking some actual football right here on this show. As for the latest on Brandon Aiyuk, both sides, of course, over the last several months have been discussing the parameters of a deal. The 49ers have not been willing to move off of their number, which according to reports is about $26 million average annual value. And things have been somewhat harmonious up to this point until Brandon Aiyuk requested a trade earlier this week. It was a last-ditch effort for him to try to put pressure on the Niners organization to get that deal with training camp coming up around the corner. Aiyuk, 1 year left on his rookie contract, fifth-year option, which will pay him a base salary of $14.1 million in 2024. The trade request, by the way, does not mean that he will get dealt. 2 off seasons ago, we also saw the Niners' number one wide receiver at that time request a trade. That was Deebo Samuel. The circumstance is a little bit different because Deebo requested his trade in April. Now we're sitting here in the middle of July. But it was all a part of some calculated timing for Aiyuk and his camp. His last chance, really, to apply pressure on this Niners organization to try to get paid because he loves ball, the Niners love him, but they're far apart on a contract right now, and an agreement doesn't seem to be in the works. So Aiyuk is saying, look, training camp is going to start on Tuesday when veterans are set to report. Let me request a trade to try to get this deal done so that I can be at camp, I can get my bag, my long-term financial stability and security, and we can try to chase this Super Bowl together. But the Niners, of course, are saying from their vantage point, we want you back, but at our price, $26 million would give you top 10 wide receiver money, more than Deebo. Take it or leave it. And if you don't, you have to play under the fifth-year option, and then we can franchise tag you the next 2 years. This is why I think it's important, though, for Aiyuk to come back. In football, synergy and continuity are really important. All 11 guys on the field, whether it's offensively or defensively, have to be on the same page. And it takes one blown assignment for a play to get blown up. And when you have familiarity, the aforementioned continuity, and that synergy, you have the opportunity to be a consistent unit, to understand how your teammates operate, how they play. You get that instinctual feel. And for this Niners team last year, everything was clicking offensively for the most part, outside of a couple of games in which the Niners struggled against some elite defenses. But still, if Aiyuk returns to the Niners this year, San Francisco and their offense, which made it to the Super Bowl, as we know last year, will return all 11 starters. And this unit was first in offensive points per game, first in offensive efficiency, first in expected points added, and second in yards per game. You take Aiyuk away from this team, they're simply not the same offensive unit. So the Niners need to figure out a way to get Aiyuk to training camp so that he can start practicing with his teammates, and the Niners can figure out a way to get over the hump and win this Super Bowl. From my seat, Niners need Aiyuk. He's been the leading receiver for this team the last 2 years. He is critical to their offensive success. And the Niners have the best roster in the entire NFL. They're trying to really have one last run with this current core at chasing a Lombardi trophy before they have to make some really, really difficult decisions. And some of this is the Niners doing. The Niners can't escape blame here. If San Francisco offered Aiyuk a better deal earlier this offseason, they could have signed him for cheaper. Aiyuk even said that. We know that, and I've talked about that on the show plenty, but this has been an offseason in which the wide receiver market has exploded on numerous occasions. Nico Collins has gotten a new deal. Devontae Smith landed a new contract. Jalen Waddle got 28 and a quarter on his new deal. Amon-Ra St. Brown making $30 million per year now. A.J. Brown got a contract extension. Justin Jefferson set a record for the most AAV and guaranteed money in the history of football for a wide receiver. And then you look at the guaranteed money, that's a part of this conversation as well, because Aiyuk wants that guaranteed cash. I think he gets more than Deebo, but how much more than Deebo? And where will he be on this list of guaranteed money? The Niners do remain steadfast, ladies and gentlemen, that they don't want to trade Aiyuk away. They've invested a lot of time and effort in his development. They've seen him go from a JUCO guy, a first-round pick who was in the doghouse, to being an all-pro. And despite that trade request and ongoing drama, they're not going to trade Aiyuk away unless they get blown away by an offer. And up to this point, they haven't. And they know that Aiyuk is a really special player who is a great dynamic weapon for Brock Purdy at the disposal for head coach Kyle Shanahan. Predict the future here. This is today's poll question. What will happen? Will Aiyuk get an extension? Type B. Will he play on the fifth-year option? Type 5. Will he get traded? Type T. Sound off with what you think down in the comment section right now. Our friends at Fanatics have a great deal for the faithful, by the way. It's summertime. The season is approaching. If you want to support the Niners and look good in the process, you can get these 2 Niners shirts for the price of one. On sale right now, just $45. All you have to do is go to chatsports.com/49combo. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of today's show. Can a deal still happen between the Niners and Brandon Aiyuk? Yes, it can. Remember, just because Aiyuk requested a trade doesn't mean he's going to get dealt. 2 off seasons ago, Deebo in April requested a trade. He wiped his social media of all things Niners. Aiyuk and Deebo both taking to social media to try to gain leverage in search of that contract. Robbie Gould even asked out a couple of off seasons ago, and then he got signed. And keep in mind, as we sit here on July 18th of 2024, the Niners report the training camp on Tuesday, and historically, in this regime led by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, the Niners have waited to pay their homegrown players late in the summer. George Kittle got his contract August 13th of 2020. Fred Warner, July 21st. of 2021. Deebo Samuel inked his deal on the final day of July in 2022. And then the outlier here, of course, Nick Bosa, who set the record for the highest amount of money, average annual value, and guaranteed money in the history of football for a non-quarterback, signed his deal on the Wednesday before the season opener. That, in my opinion, would kind of be a disaster because there are just so many nuances to offensive football where if Aiyuk didn't join this team until late in the process, there would be a catch-up period. There would be a ramp-up period, and we saw that Nick Bosa to start last year was just a touch off from being his normal defensive player of the year self. He still had the quarterback pressures and the quarterback hits, but the sack numbers weren't there, and the conditioning took a hit. Now, what if there is a holdout? That's also a question as part of this process, and in the aftermath of Aiyuk requesting a trade, Aiyuk will be subjected to getting fined by the San Francisco 49ers. And that's more leverage on the side of the Niners. Aiyuk has 1 year left on his contract, $14.1 million, and then the Niners can put the franchise tag on Aiyuk the next 2 years. They can also put pressure on Aiyuk to attend camp and report to camp, and if he doesn't, they could take his money away. And what is this all about? Money. That's why he's looking for that new deal. As for the specifics on that front, Aiyuk could be fined up to $50,000 per practice missed. Aiyuk did accrue more than $101,000 for missing mandatory minicamp earlier this spring. The Niners can also elect not to fine Aiyuk. Nick Bosa held out at training camp last year, and the Niners elected to not fine Nick Bosa. If they do fine Aiyuk, it could get a little bit messy, but again, it's all about leverage. It's all about applying pressure, whether you're on the side of the player or on the side of the organization. Be sure to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_senior. I am so close to 13,000 followers on X. Let's do it for Brock Purdy. And the Instagram this week has been blowing up despite some mean tweets from Debbie. I got this message from Debbie a couple of days ago. She said, LMAO, looks like your numbers are way down. Go figure. Ha, 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 ha. Lost 1,000+ followers. Enjoy. Well, actually, my followers gained is in the green, and the Instagram's been popping. Karen Debbie, 108,000 views on that Aiyuk video right there, 34,500 views earlier that day, and then 45K because I talked about Ricky Pearsall being on the non-football injury list. What up, Debbie? Give me a follow. All right, words of wisdom with the $5 super chat. Ava likes the new intro, handsome man. She says, you are the Chris Pine of chat sports, but watch it. She's my woman, Chase. Get your own. So for those of you who don't know, I got to meet up with Words of Wisdom and his wife at the Circuit Casino in Las Vegas during Super Bowl week. It was a blast. I ended up staying an extra night in Las Vegas too, by the way. Part of the reason I wanted to link up with my boy Mark and Ava, and we went to the Speakeasy, where you give them your taste notes and they make you cocktails on what you like. And they make it right in front of you. And if you don't like it, you can give it back. So we took down a few cocktails until about 3 in the morning. And we also smoked some cigars. We talked life, sports, drinks, politics, America. It was awesome. And it was good to link up with them. I don't know who Chris Pine is, though. Let me see who that is. Oh, Chris Pine. Okay. Yeah, I know who that is. American actor. Best known for his roles as James T. Kirk in Star Trek.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very familiar. I could see it with the eyes right there. All right, our super chat menu. Words of wisdom, $5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $10 for some push-ups, which I can barely do because we did a chat sports team workout last night. We are very sore, and I did a 2 a day yesterday. That didn't help. $20, I'm doing squats. $50 for a beer bong. $100 for a beer boot. Let's get it. Tyrick saying L. Karen. Karen Debbie. I love it. Debbie must be related to that Mexican dude from Black Mask. Steve-O, fave segment, everything else we all know. Salute. I'm just waiting for the season from Tyrick. Agree. Anthony saying Trump 2025. We're not going to get political here. Not going to get political. Debbie Does Dallas is my only Debbie from El Grillo. Use the hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat, by the way, to get on the show. Whether you like me, you hate me, whether you talk Niners or not, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. Let's move forward here to segment number 2. And this is another one that kind of has to do with the Aiyuk story, but it also mostly has to do with this teammate, Deebo Samuel. What does the Brandon Aiyuk trade request mean for Deebo Samuel? That's what we're going to dive into next. How's everybody doing? Continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Let me get a sip of water, and then we'll move forward here on the show.
America.
Debbie, can I speak to your manager? Classic. All right, segment number 2. Let's go. Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report by Chat Sports, in the aftermath of the Brandon Aiyuk trade request, what does all of this mean for Deebo Samuel and his future with the Niners organization? Before we take a look at that, let's first take a gander at our July sub battle with a couple of rival teams and channels right here inside the walls of Chat Sports. Hate the Dallas Cowboys. I hate the Dallas Cowboys report. They've picked up 238 subscribers since July 1. 49ers report, 17 subscribers behind the Cowboys report. We could change that with this video alone. Hit that sub button right now. The good news is, ladies and gentlemen, We are dominating Seattle Seahawks today, the biggest rival inside the NFC West for San Francisco. Seahawks today has picked up 155 new subscribers since the turn of the calendar month. Hit that sub button today for informative, insightful, entertaining Niners content, which comes your way every single day year-round and involves you, the faithful. The obvious starting point on today's show. If the 49ers are without Brandon Aiyuk to start training camp, Deebo Samuel becomes the number one wide receiver like he was during the 2021 campaign when he was a first-team All-Pro, and down the stretch there as the Niners were making that crazy playoff run. After starting the season 3-5, he put the offense on his back. He strapped on the backpack. He carried this squad, and anytime the Niners needed a big play, they turned to number 19. As a receiver, as a running back, it was one of the most dynamic seasons for a weapon that I can remember in recent memory for a player in the National Football League. Ideally, of course, you keep this 1-2 punch of Aiyuk and Deebo together. It's one of the best wide receiver duos in the National Football League. On the outside, you have Aiyuk, who has great footwork, great route runner, who's dynamic and picking up yards after the catch. Last year, he emerged as an All-Pro and a terrific deep threat for Brock Purdy. He found success analytically on every single route in the route tree. He's a traditional outside wideout who can beat any type of coverage. Deebo, on the other hand, not the route runner or the outside wide receiver that Aiyuk is, but is a great complement to Aiyuk. He's more of an inside guy. He can be utilized as a gadget weapon. He's a home run threat. Anytime he gets his hands on the pill, you can use him as a running back. You can use him on jet sweeps, bubble screens, handoffs, end arounds. And if he catches a ball with real estate in front of him, as Kyle Shanahan's offenses since he got hired in 2017, first in yak created with yards after the catch, Deebo, a big reason why he leads all receivers in yards after the catch since coming into the league in 2019 is Shanahan's offense, but also the emergence of Aiyuk takes the attention off of Deebo, and he is just the classic home run hitter who is breathtaking to watch. Whether he's running away from defenders or running through defenders, he is truly one of one. And look at what these two players have done the last 2 years. Aiyuk is the younger player who's been more durable and more productive, but Deebo, it's not like he's been a slouch. Aiyuk the last 2 years, 33 games played, 219 targets, 153 catches, 2,300 plus yards, 15.4 yards per catch, and 15 total touchdowns. Deebo, fewer targets in fewer games, 28 to Aiyuk's 33. Catches, also fewer, 153 to 116. Deebo has 1,500 plus yards per catch at 13.1, but 17 total touchdowns as he's really used as that chess piece in this offense. And when he's off the field, this Niners team is not the same. Now, going back to that question that I posed to start the program here, what does the future hold for Deebo? He has no more guaranteed money left on his deal following the 2024 season. $15.1 million is the dead money charge, though, if the Niners cut or trade him pre-June 1 next offseason. And Deebo admitted the Niners were looking to potentially trade him. They were taking calls and fielding offers on a Deebo trade because they knew that Brandon Aiyuk was due this deal, and Deebo admitted the trade talks were real this offseason. So next offseason, it could get to a point where one of these wide receivers is no longer with this team. Now, if the Niners move on from Brandon Aiyuk and not Deebo, there is a bigger and greater likelihood that Deebo stays around. Those chances increase, and then you probably have a receiver room of Deebo, Ricky Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings as your top three. Now, as part of this, is there that chance that Aiyuk and Deebo remain together on the same team, with Deebo playing under the current construct of his deal and Aiyuk landing that contract extension? A lot of people like to say, you can't pay two wide receivers $25+ million. The landscape of the NFL has changed. You actually can. The Miami Dolphins are doing that. They're paying two wideouts $25+ million, and Tyreek Hill, the vertical speed threat, as the cheetah, and then Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill's making $30 million per year. Jalen Waddle, 28 and a quarter. A team who the Niners are now rivals with, Philadelphia Eagles, doing the same thing. A.J. Brown's making $32 million per season. Devontae Smith is making $25 million average annual value. Deebo's right around 24. Aiyuk could get anywhere from 26 to 30, depending on which side budges. So there is a chance that the Niners could pay both of those receivers, and the Dolphins are soon going to pay Tua Tagovailoa, I would imagine, and the Eagles are giving Jalen Hurts $51 million per year. And yeah, I know that Brock Purdy, if he plays like he did in 2023, he's going to be due a lucrative contract extension as well. Look at this list of highest paid wide receivers. You have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on it. You have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on it. The Detroit Lions, they're not paying two wide receivers all that much money, but they're paying a lot of weapons on that team, a lot of cash. So it can be done. As for the aforementioned Brock Purdy, we have to monitor his situation here. The extension that he inevitably is going to get is going to impact the cap. And here's a look at what Purdy did during the 2023 season. He was terrific. The fact that he was not included in ESPN's top 10 list of quarterbacks going into 2024 is wild. His agent reached out to me and said, Chase, thanks for sticking up for Brock. I said, anytime, because the real ones know he's elite. He was third in passing touchdowns, despite having a pass rate that's 32nd in the NFL. Yards per attempt, number one by a big margin at 9.6. He has a noodle arm, Chase. Oh, really? Because his deep ball completion rate was number one, and his deep ball catchable rate was number one. How about when the pressure is on? Pressure completion percentage, 63%. Red zone completion rate. When the bullets are flying, the field gets condensed, and the game is moving quicker, it slows down for Purdy. Number two there. True passer rating, QBR, EPA, number one. And he was able to have this success despite his receiver target separation being 14th in the NFL. So if Brock Purdy does that again, he's going to get a bag. And some people are going to say, well, I think that Purdy's going to take a hometown discount. I don't think he's going to do that. Crazy state taxes in California, and he's been one of the biggest bargains in the NFL as Mr. Irrelevant, making under $1 million each year has been in the NFL so far. He's going to want to make up for that. And you look at the highest paid quarterbacks per year list, Purdy is going to be on this, again, if he performs like he did last year. Now, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. He's tied for ninth now. I imagine the Chiefs at some point soon are going to restructure that contract to make him a higher paid quarterback. But you have Joe Burrow at 55, Trevor Lawrence at 55, Jared Goff at 53, Justin Herbert at 52.5, Lamar Jackson at 52, Jalen Hurts at 51, Kyler Murray at 46, Deshaun Watson at 46. That contract has been a blunder. Kirk Cousins at 45, and then the aforementioned Mahomes there at 45 as well. Purdy's going to be on this list in due time. The Niners cap situation looking forward, in 2025, they're actually nearly $39 million over the cap. That is 30th in the NFL. But right now, they do have $31.4 million in cap space. That is 6th. And you can roll over some of that money to kind of ease the pain. Contract extensions, contract restructures, trades, cuts, another avenue, and avenues to free up some money on the cap. There's also another avenue to keeping Deebo and Aiyuk together. You give Deebo another contract extension. This offseason, I've liked what I've seen from Deebo. He seemed like a motivated man. He looks to be in better shape. And maybe the selection of Ricky Pearsall really kicked himself into gear. I think back to that Pearsall pick, it was a contingency plan of sorts for the Niners at the receiver spot. They knew that Deebo had no guaranteed money following this upcoming season. They knew that Aiyuk could potentially get a new contract, so they envisioned that maybe they'd be without one of those wide receivers looking forward, which is why they took Pearsall with the 31st pick. Deebo this offseason, he's looked great. He's looked motivated, especially coming off the Super Bowl in which he did not perform well. He got shut down. As we've seen in the receiver documentary, he was certainly banged up, but he's slimmer. He's going to be rocking the number one. And it's always good to see a player of this caliber motivated. He's reaching 22 miles per hour on the assault treadmill. I was running the other day on the assault treadmill at like 12 to 15 miles per hour. And I'm like, he's at 22 with ease. That's wild. We know what Deebo is capable of, but since signing that contract extension, it's been a little bit of a disappointment because the production has been down and he's been banged up in each of the last 2 years. Hopefully that's not because of him wearing down as a player because of the physicality, but throughout his career, injuries have been a little bit of a concern, but hopefully this year in 2024, we see that Deebo from 2021, when even if he only had 77 catches, 18.2 yards per catch, and then, of course, very dynamic as a ball carrier, 59 carries for 6.2 yards per carry. Before we hop on out of here, make sure you give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I put out a bunch of Niners short-form content on those social media pages, and I look forward to hearing from you. Couple of super chats to catch up on. Tony DeWeese, we're not going to trade Brandon Aiyuk. That would be dumb. I agree. My prediction remains the same. I think they come to an agreement on a contract extension. Tony DeWeese, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Words of wisdom with 10. I know you are busy, but open invite to the OGs at Circa Las Vegas, September 12th, my 50th birthday. I got the first round. Also, hopefully we can chat for a quick minute that day, bro. The big 5-0 coming up for words. I'm actually excited for you, man. That's going to be awesome. You're going to have a great time. I know that you took some recent trips to Vegas. Hope all is well on that front. Black Mask, $10 super chat. BA is acting like my ex-wife. She asked for a divorce. I tried to convince her to stay. Now I'm grateful she's gone and living my best life. See ya, BA, or is it AB? I see what you did right there. That is one of the best super chats that we've gotten, Chip, I think, over the last couple of weeks. And this is the Colin Cowherd influence in my broadcasting style. I always like making the lifestyle business comparison to sports. That's what Black Mask did right there. But now Black Mask is living a great life. Words of wisdom, another 5. Also, thanks for the inspiration, Chase. Your running encourages me post-knee surgery. Lost 30-plus pounds since we last spoke. Everybody clap it up for words. Type wow in the comment section for words of wisdom. But also, 30 pounds is not easy to drop, man.
Let's go, words.
Everybody type wow in the chat.
Impressive stuff, man.
Yeah, my run streak today is 457 days. I feel good. I've had a lot of people say, you're going to injure yourself. You're going to have bad knees. I got one life to live. I'm going to maximize it. I'm going to push myself. As much as working out is a physical thing, it's a mental thing. And I've been enjoying it. I feel really good. And you can't be scared out here. Can't be scared. Drippy Sports, read my message. What did you say, Drippy? What did you say, Drippy? I'm looking back. He still has one more year, so even if he did request a trade, we can not trade him. He isn't worth the money he's asking. Deebo is explosive, and without him, we would fail for sure. I did pose a question earlier on our community tab, or at least I asked Reed to put it up. Did he do his job? Yes, he did. Who is more valuable to the Niners offense? 68% Deebo over Aiyuk. And what's interesting is that yesterday we put up another poll question, 11,000 votes. Would you trade Aiyuk for Devontae Adams? 68% yes. Same results there. I do feel as though that comes down to the frustrations that people have with Aiyuk. I know that I said push-ups for the super chats. We had a couple of 10 come in, or a couple of 10s, bad English. I'm just going to give y'all a couple of beer cheers here because my arms are hella sore. If another 10 comes in, I'll drop down and do the 10.
Look at that. A $10 beer cheers. It's a pretty good deal. You didn't even know you were getting it. And here we are, drinking on a Thursday.
4 beer cheers. I think we got 3 $10 super chats. Chip, are you good, bro?
I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic.
You're fantastic. That cough is not fantastic.
No, it's not.
But at least you feel fantastic.
It's not.
You're just coughing up the remnants, the remaining.
It's been days, man. It's
Yeah.
been days now.
I think you had the vid, man.
I might have.
I think you had the vid.
I might have.
But we're all good. We're all good. Joey B has the vid. Steve-O cheating the people. Am I cheating the people by drinking instead? Y for yes, N for no. Black Mask, $5. Chase, no love for JJ. I really think he was going to be really productive this year. Your Super Bowl MVP. I mentioned him a little bit earlier, and I said, look, if you trade away Aiyuk, your top three would be Deebo, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings. I think Juwan Jennings is an incredibly underrated player. And I think that with more opportunities, he would fare just fine. That's probably why some people would be willing to move off of Aiyuk. You save money, and then you just allow Juwan Jennings to emerge. My issue with that, I think Jennings and Pearsall are more so inside guys. Let's see.
Make sure to get your questions in for our mailbag, hashtag 49ers. We have a few so far. Nick Dolford, Drippy Sports, Words of Wisdom, Tyreek, Nick Dolford with another.
Nick Dolford is going to knock out the push-ups for me.
There we go. Real one.
I tried to do some before the show, and I was like, yo, my triceps are burning right now. I'll drop down and do 10. I'll drop down and do 10.
Are you going to do some?
For all of the legends.
Wait,
yep.
let me make sure the people here can see you.
I'll drop down and do 10 real quick. Dior, George Pickens. Steelers wouldn't trade Pickens away. The whole reason they want Aiyuk is to pair him up with George Pickens. All right, here we go. 10 push-ups. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get full extension here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to go 20. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. See, I can't cheat the people. I can't do it. I can't do it. That hurt, though. Didn't feel great.
Woo! Knocking them out. Even when we're sore, baby.
Starting to sweat a little bit.
It ain't nothing but work, man.
It ain't nothing but work.
Ain't nothing but work.
It ain't nothing but work. All right, let's move forward. Segment number 3.
Anthony with the $2 super chat. Anthony says,
Anthony! Aiyuk is very good. So is DeForest Buckner and Amari Cooper. Yeah, I mean, teams have traded away really good players. Look, I think in the grand scheme of things, trading Buckner away was a huge mistake. The Niners have certainly missed him. Javon Kinlaw and drafting him after the Buckner trade was a disaster. You would think that the Niners learned their lesson, right? Maybe not. All right, segment number 3, and then we'll do our mailbag. Get those questions in, hashtag 49ers or a super chat. We're at $42 in super chats right now. If we get to 100, I'm doing a beer boot. All right, I'm doing a beer boot if we get to 100 in total. Black Mask wants to see some one-arm push-ups. Hey, we're working there, Brody. We're working there. D. Coog Cherry, $2 super chat. People hate on Frank Gore at work. Tell him why he's a Hall of Famer. Well, he's 3rd all-time in rushing yards. So let's start with that. I do think that when players are durable, there's a case to be made that that's a part of their greatness. Look at what Tom Brady did. He was a durable player outside of 1 year when he tore his ACL. At the NBA level, I know some people don't really like LeBron James. I was 11 years old when he entered the league. I am now 32. The fact that he has been in the league this long and has had sustained greatness is amazing. So for Frank Gore, he was consistent. He was always available. He was always productive. And his resume speaks for itself. My man has 16,000 rushing yards on the dot, 81 touchdowns. There was a stretch from 2006 his second season through 2016, in which he ran for more than 1,000 yards in every one of those seasons except for 2. And the 2 that he did not, he still ran for 967 in 2015 and 853 in 2010 in 11 games. So he easily would have surpassed 1,000 yards if he stayed healthy for a whole season. He played from 2005 through 2020 as a running back. That rarely happens. He was a second-team All-Pro in 2006, a 5-time Pro Bowler. He was a member of the 2010s All-Decade team. So he's one of the best running backs of this generation. And he's behind Emmitt Smith and I want to say Walter Payton in all-time rushing yards. Or is it Adrian Peterson number 2? Yeah. Emmitt Smith number 1, Walter Payton 2, Frank Gore number 3, Barry Sanders 4, and AP Adrian Peterson number 5. I mean, that sounds like a Hall of Famer right there. That's just me. Black Mask, another 5. The real crime is that Rodgers is not in the Hall of Fame. Scratching my head. See, that's a different conversation. And that's one that's just hard to fathom. How Roger Craig is not in the Hall of Fame. He's 64 years old. He's got to get in the Hall of Fame before it's all said and done. Now, he did play fullback running back, which is probably why he's not there. It's not like a sexy position when you're playing fullback, but let's see. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler. He ran for more than 1,000 yards 3 times, but a different era, and he did that again as a fullback. And he was so important to when the Niners became one of the best organizations in the history of sports, not just football. Okay, segment number 3. We are $52 away from a beer boot if we get to 100 in Super Chats. That's what we're doing. And coming up next, let's talk some more Niners here. Yo, what's up? What's good? Welcome into the show. I'm Chase Sr., and this is the 49ers Report. Here's what's coming up. We're going to take a look at a grouping of teams who could be in the running for Brandon Aiyuk according to betting odds. We're going to pass along some reporting on the Aiyuk front as far as teams who are interested in his services, and also take a look as part of this at some potential trade destinations. First, if you want the Niners to re-sign Brandon Aiyuk, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If not, I want you to comment why. Get involved. We always love hearing from all of you right here on the Niners Report. As for the betting odds for Aiyuk's next team, if it's not the San Francisco 49ers, Pittsburgh Steelers leading the way at plus 350. The Jacksonville Jaguars, surprisingly, second best odds to land Aiyuk at 6-1. The Colts plus 650. The Commanders plus 850. The Los Angeles Chargers at 9-1 odds, and then the New England Patriots at plus 950. Why the Steelers lead the charge, according to the odds makers, throughout this offseason, it's been Pittsburgh who has had the most rampant interest in Aiyuk, and there's been so much reporting from a lot of Steelers reporters in Pittsburgh's pursuit of Aiyuk, but clearly the Niners haven't received a trade offer that would force them into making a move. And Pittsburgh wants and needs another wide receiver. They have George Pickens, an emerging player who was stellar at Georgia, but they traded away their number 2 in Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers. They did draft Roman Wilson, but I think he's more of a slot receiver as compared to an outside guy. Outside of those 2 receivers, Pittsburgh's a little bit light. Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson. They signed Quez Watkins, a former Eagle, in NFL free agency. They have Marquez Callaway. But if you put Aiyuk on this team, he becomes their number 1. George Pickens becomes their number 2. They have a good run game. They've improved the offensive line. They have a really good defense. It makes Pittsburgh a very interesting team in the AFC. And we stick in the AFC. Why the Jags make sense. Remember earlier this offseason, there were multiple reports that Aiyuk and his camp had interest in Jacksonville, And then Jacksonville had some interest in Aiyuk. The Jaguars lost Calvin Ridley in free agency when he signed that surprising deal with the Tennessee Titans, giving him $23 million per year. That was the first domino to fall, which really led to the wide receiver market exploding this offseason on numerous occasions because Ridley got 23. And that in turn increased the price tag for other receivers who were seeking no deals. And if Aiyuk went to Jacksonville, no state income tax, he could save a lot of money as compared to California and the Bay Area. That is for sure. Indianapolis Colts, if you think about what Aiyuk would bring that team, he'd be their number one. Michael Pittman, who they signed to a contract extension, would slide down to being their number two. They re-signed Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the best running backs in the game. Shane Steichen is an ascending young offensive mind in this league who, in year one, with Gardner Minshew as the Colts starter, they were a win away from winning the division. Instead, it was C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans who won Week 17. And the Colts would want to bring in Aiyuk to pair him alongside Pittman, Taylor, Steichen in the headset for Anthony Richardson. And then the Colts become an interesting team as they look to build around Richardson while he's on that rookie contract. The Commanders, we've talked a lot about Washington here. You have the Adam Peters, Jaden Daniels dynamic. Adam Peters has familiarity with Aiyuk. He was the assistant general manager for the Niners. John Lynch hired him as part of the front office in 2017 when Lynch and Kyle Shanahan took over the Niners organization and started that rebuild. Jaden Daniels and Aiyuk played with one another at Arizona State. When I was at the NFL Combine, we asked Jaden Daniels, who have you leaned on in the pre-draft process? He said, I talk to Aiyuk every day. When Aiyuk went on the Pivot podcast, he name-dropped the Commanders and the Steelers as two teams he'd like to play for if he didn't come back to the Niners. And he said, I'd love to play with Jaden Daniels. He also was on TikTok with Jaden Daniels, infamously, when he said the Niners don't want him back. So they're best friends, and for Washington, trying to take advantage of Jaden Daniels being on his rookie contract. And they also have a wide receiver who they could trade, whether that be Terry McLaurin, who's cheaper than Aiyuk, or Jahan Dotson, who's way cheaper than Aiyuk. The Commanders also right now, number 2 in cap space in the NFL. Los Angeles Chargers, also on that list of Aiyuk betting odds. They got rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Aiyuk would be an ideal number 1 for Justin Herbert. Imagine what they could do. Justin Herbert has a bazooka and a cannon for an arm. Aiyuk last year emerged as a great long ball threat for Brock Purdy. Justin Herbert, an even better long ball thrower. And Jim Harbaugh would love Aiyuk. The toughness, the swagger, the willingness to block. And the Chargers cleared up some money on the cap. New England Patriots. They right now have the most cap space in the NFL. They are bereft at the wide receiver spot. They drafted Drake May. And Aiyuk would be the number 1 wide receiver for Drake May and get paid, as would be the case for a lot of the other teams on that list. A lot more to get to here on today's show. Let's ask you this, though. Where will Aiyuk play in 2024? Will it be with the Niners? Will it be with another team? Let me know down in the comment section right now. The season is quickly approaching. Training camp for San Francisco getting underway on Tuesday. And if you want a San Francisco shirt, get yours today at chatsports.com/SF. The real ones know that during our watch parties, we go crazy. And this has been a staple of our show. Available in red as well as black. We have sent these all around the world. To Australia, over the pond to England, because people love this show and we love you back. Now, the second part of today's show, do any teams want to pay Brandon Aiyuk? Are they willing to pay him $30+ million? Here's this report from Mike Silver of the San Francisco Chronicle. If you're wondering whether another team would pay Aiyuk what he's asking for, there's at least one that would. A front office source for a potential trade partner confirmed that to me earlier this week. Now, Aiyuk is revered league-wide. A lot of people have recognized his ascent, his emergence, his progression, how he's such a great route runner with excellent footwork. Analytically, he had success in running every single route on the route tree. People love his toughness. his durability. He's still young at 26 years old. He's maybe the best run-blocking wide receiver in the NFL. One NFL executive, as part of ESPN's top 10 positional rankings, ranked him as the third best wide receiver in the NFL. Now, some people will balk at that, but what if Aiyuk got true number one targets like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb and others? His production would take off. It would be insane. But the Niners, since the Christian McCaffrey trade, throw the ball at the 32nd rate in the NFL. And then going back to the New England Patriots, Josina Anderson reported this following the Aiyuk trade request. I'm told within the last couple of weeks, the Patriots reached out to the Niners inquiring about Aiyuk. And again, we were told that the talented wide receiver was not being traded at this time. Despite the trade request, the Niners have no plans to trade Aiyuk, but if they get blown away by an offer, that could change. So you circle back to the next team odds here for Aiyuk. Pittsburgh Steelers for obvious reasons. Jacksonville Jaguars because of the rumblings there. The Indianapolis Colts because they have money and they could use another weapon at wideout. Washington Commanders, Los Angeles Chargers, and the New England Patriots. Regardless of what happens, if Aiyuk reports to training camp, if he signs a new deal, if he gets dealt, if there's another report out there, we have you covered right here on this show, and that's why you hit that subscribe button. So we're up to $49 in Super Chats. If we get to 100, we're doing a beer boot here on the show. So can we get there? 5 for jumping jacks, 10 for push-ups or a beer cheers, 20 for some squats, 50 for a beer bong, 100 for a beer boot. 50, we're just going to rip the beer boot regardless. Coming up next, mailbag here on the show. Use the hashtag 49ers or send in a super chat to be a part of the program here.
Last chance, baby. Last chance. Get those questions in. We got a few.
Cooked said, I would take Davante Adams for Brandon Aiyuk. A lot of people would. The updated results on the poll question on our community tab yesterday, 68% yes, they would trade Aiyuk for Davante Adams. See, Davante Adams is definitely better than Aiyuk this year and moving forward. He could be more affordable. The issue, Ayuk's 26, Davante Adams is 31. So that could be a win now move, which helps you out right now, but does it help you in the future? Some might counter that and say, I'm not worried about the future. We got to win a Super Bowl. And Davante Adams helps you do that. Now, after this year, while Aiyuk most likely going to get paid, Adams' contract non-guaranteed after 2024. Even though if you keep him on that contract that he's under right now, the cap hit and the base salary is huge. We're talking 30, 40 million. Mac Daddy, $5. The only trade I would take for BA is Patrick Surtain and a fifth. Yes, Patrick Surtain is worth $20 million a year, but only if I had to. I like that. I'll expand on that coming up next in our Q&A.
All right. Got some good questions in. I think we're ready to get into it.
Let's go. 5 jumping jacks for Mac Daddy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we are 47 away from a beer boot here on the show. How serious is the Pearsall injury from Anthony? That's a good question. It's been said to not be serious, so that's a good sign. Tyrick said I'd keep Brandon over Davante. All right, mailbag to round things out right here. Niners Report. Let's take your questions. Let's take your hot takes. Let's get you involved on the show, and let's chop it up. We're going to chop it up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, I appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. There are so many great and talented content creators out there. There's a lot of competition to the 49ers Report. That's why we're always so thankful that you hang out here with us. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. Niners training camp getting underway on Tuesday. We're only a couple of days away, and our coverage is about to be elite. Our coverage is about to be fire as we're going to push out even more content. During the month of June, I pushed out more than 50 videos, long-form content here on this show. We're going to top that number in the month of August. Join the largest independently run Niners channel right here on YouTube, which is approaching 135,000 subscribers by hitting that sub button. Tony DeWeese getting us going. I'm not going to trade Brandon Aiyuk. That would be dumb. I agree. And I think that at some point a deal does get done. I think that the Niners might increase their offer by $1 or $2 million, and then Aiyuk's asking price might go down by a couple of $1 million. If I'm Aiyuk, I'm looking at the Niners and I'm saying, I have this harmonious on-field relationship with Brock Purdy. We have developed great chemistry. My production since he took over as the quarterback has truly been elite. He's helped me get into a position where I'm about to get paid. I know that under Kyle Shanahan, who is truly an elite offensive mind, I'm always going to have excellent production. And because of how this organization runs, how they operate, the talent that is on this team, I'm going to be happy because we're going to win. Remember during locker room cleanout after the heartbreaking, soul-crushing kick in the balls loss in the Super Bowl to Kansas City, Aiyuk was asked about what he wants in the future. He said, I want to win. So you can win, you can be happy, you can put up great production, and you can still make money. So if I'm Aiyuk, look, $30 million might be your asking price. Bump it down to 28 and see if the Niners move off at 26 and get a deal done. Mac Daddy with the 5. The only trade I would take for Brandon Aiyuk is Patrick Surtain and a 5th. Yes, Patrick Surtain is worth $20 million a year, but only if I had to. So that's interesting, right? Because Charvarius Ward and Deommodore Lenoir are free agents following the 2024 season. Ward was an All-Pro this past year. Lenoir is an emerging player. Both of those players are going to be due new deals. Deommodore Lenoir is still going to be young. He's going to be looking for contract number 2. Didn't make a lot of money in his rookie contract. Charvarius Ward, on the other hand, will be on the wrong side of 30. A little bit of a risk to pay a corner a lot of money, especially if he's demanding 17 to 20 million. Aiyuk, on the other hand, let's call it 26 to 30. That's the AAV he's going to get, and between $60 and $80 million in guaranteed money. Even paying Patrick Surtain $20 million allows you to save. So let's say you pay Surtain $20, you bring back Deommodore Lenoir, you let Charvarius Ward walk, and you trade away Aiyuk. In a way, you make some switches to this roster, right? But you're still in a really good spot because you're good at corner. You're hoping that Ricky Pearsall works out. You probably bring Deebo back again. You have Juwan Jennings, who's criminally underrated. Hopefully Jacob Cowie takes another leap. You still have George Kittle, who's under contract the next 2 years. And you're still a really good offense with Brock Purdy getting paid. Mac Daddy, the GM. People are talking. Black Mask, $5 super chat. Chase, no love for Juwan Jennings. I really think he's going to be really productive this year. Your Super Bowl MVP. Great timing right there, as I just got done talking about Juwan Jennings. And he is underrated. He's underrated because he's been overshadowed by this offense, which has been so dynamic in running the football and putting up crazy production there. And then obviously at his same position, Aiyuk and Deebo being on this team, who are known league-wide as spectacular players. Also as part of that, for the casual fan, they go box score hunting and they look at Juwan Jennings' career numbers and they see year 1, after he originally got cut as a former 7th rounder, practice squad. So his first official year in the NFL after he was drafted in 2020, he only had 24 catches, but 5 touchdowns. He was good down the stretch with Jimmy Garoppolo that year. And then year 2, he had 35 catches. And then this past year, he actually had a career low in catches in the regular season with 19, but in the playoffs. How about the seam balls that Brock Purdy was throwing? The number balls and the balls the throws that he was making in between the hashes and the numbers. I mean, the touch accuracy, the processing, leading Jennings, and then Jennings taking licks, getting hit, climbing up the ladder to make those grabs. And then in the Super Bowl, yeah, you're right. I mean, he may have been the Niners' offensive MVP. If the Niners won, he may have won MVP because of the big plays that he was making. There's no doubt, underrated. If Aiyuk gets traded away, you're probably banking on Pearsall being really good, and you trade Aiyuk away thinking that Pearsall can step in, but also as part of that, you're hoping that Jauan Jennings can fulfill a big role, and he would have to. There's no doubt about it. Words of wisdom. Chase, you touch upon it. The more time Aiyuk misses, the more he will be less of a factor this year. Look at Bosa's dip in production. There was a dip in Bosa's production as far as sacks. He went from 18.5 sacks to 10-plus sacks last year. And you just noticed that Bosa's stamina was slightly off. Now, physically, you looked at him and you're like, this dude is a physical specimen who's truly one of one, takes good care of his body. But I said it throughout the entire training camp and preseason period. There is a difference between being in shape and football shape. And Nick Bosa even admitted, I was not in football shape. He was just a touch off from generating quarterback pressures and quarterback hits to sacks. There was a huge drop-off in sack production. There was not a drop-off from quarterback pressures and hits year over year. In fact, some of his numbers were better in 2023 than 2022. But that play speed, narrowly off, which is why there was that decrease in production. And for Aiyuk, if he misses a lot of extended time in the lead up to the season, that's one of the worries that I have. Joe G, what's really happening with Turkey Pearsall? Look, he was put on the non-football injury list. What this traditionally means is that there was an injury that happened away from the facility. If you remember, during the spring, he did wear a blue jersey during mandatory minicamp and OTAs. That signaled that he was dealing with some type of injury, yet he was wearing the blue jersey but still practicing. A couple of weeks ago, he was training with Deebo, and some of the clips went viral of the great footwork and the route running. Everything I've heard, it's not all that serious. This is out of precaution. We'll see what happens when training camp officially gets underway this upcoming week. Drippy Sports, I'm perfectly fine with us trading away Aiyuk and then bringing in Terry McLaurin. So that's an interesting trade that we've talked about a couple of times here on the show. Terry McLaurin is not the player that Aiyuk is. They're similar in age, though. McLaurin has put up excellent production, and he's cheaper than Aiyuk. So if you want to save some coin and not have much of a drop-off as far as overall wide receiver talent and overall production, Commanders, you want Aiyuk? Give us a first-rounder. Give us Terry McLaurin. You pay Aiyuk, we'll take on McLaurin, who's under contract for the next couple of years, and we still have maybe the best or one of the best receiver duos in the National Football League. Because the Niners, do they want to pay a wide receiver $30 million per season when they still want to run the football a lot? It's a fair question. Niners 63. With next year's cap numbers in excess, who is the most likely to leave to get us under, as we have a bunch of high-priced studs on the team? So Deebo's contract after this year is non-guaranteed. Now, if you cut him pre-June 1, there would be $15 million in dead money. That would have to be a post-June 1 designation like the Niners did with Eric Armstead. So Deebo comes to mind. Kyle Juszczyk comes to mind. Maybe you don't re-sign Talanoa Hufanga, Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore. Maybe you cut a Javon Hargrave. It would be hard, but maybe you cut a George Kittle. All of those are realistic scenarios. That I mentioned Kyle Juszczyk, that could be a player. So some difficult financial decisions because you're going to have to pay Aiyuk. Tyreek, Super Bowl window closed after this year. I don't think so. You still have an elite coach. I'm a believer in Brock Purdy. You're still going to have some excellent players on this team, but there's no doubt the pressure to finish the job is getting ratcheted up because you're going to have to make some difficult decisions. If you want to be a part of our mailbag segments, hit that subscribe button. If you want to tune into everything that we do and stay in the know with all things Niners, subscribe, but also hit that bell icon and turn on those notifications. Therefore, when we do go live or when we push out a show here on YouTube, you'll be notified. Oh! Nick Dolfer! A $50 super chat and a San Francisco. Thank you, Nick. Fittingly, on the 49ers report for a $49 super chat. We are past $100, so that is going to be a beer boot.
Woo! Thirsty Thursday, baby. Let's get it. Nick Dolfer, real one. Let's go, Nick.
Nick, you're a legend, man. QJ, Chase for president. I think I would do a pretty good job as president of the United States. I would be a man of the people. I would not allow there to be any divide. I would call out all slimy politicians. In my dealings as a news reporter, I learned that a lot of politicians are just in it for their own good. And I would try to bring everybody together like we do on this show. I would be well-spoken. I have a decent face for politics, although a lot of people would disagree. I'm from Pennsylvania, a battleground state. We'd have some fun.
Checking off a lot of the boxes.
So Tyreek, is it Tyreek or Tyreek? Chase should be head coach or general manager.
Hey.
That'd be fun too. I would rather be a GM than a head coach, honestly. I would like to put together a team. I don't know if I'd want to coach the team. Black mask, which is why you'll never get the job because you won't lie.
Yeah.
True. Tyreek without the extra E. Okay, Chip was right the other day when he pronounced it correctly. Shame on me. Buddy Moles, President Chase.
Who's more ready for football, Chip or Chase? I think we're all ready,
I think
man.
we're both ready, man.
We are excited. We have football in under a month. It's crazy because I feel like we were just at the draft and talking about how excited we were for stuff to start getting closer. And
No doubt.
now we're almost here, man.
We're almost there.
Almost here.
Today's poll question, by the way, in the chat. Will Aiyuk play for the Niners this year? 66% yes. They have all the leverage. All right, I'm going to go get the beer boot ready for our guy, Nick Dolfer. Chip's going to take over, and I will be right back in just a couple of minutes.
Yes, sir. Shout out to our boy, Nick Dolfer. Getting us over the Hundon. If someone sends in another 50 right now, I'll do a beer bong. I'll do a beer bong on this Thirsty Thursday. Get it going right for another 50. Black Mask says I got tickets for the Jets and Cardinals game already. Nice, man. I'm excited, man. I'm very excited. I'm going to, well, I won't be at the game, but I'm a Clemson alum, and I'll be traveling to Atlanta for the Clemson-Georgia game, opening week of the college football season for those teams. So I'm excited. Hopefully we don't get smacked too bad, but should be fun nonetheless. If you're going to any games, let me know right now in the comments what games you're going to be going to. Black Mass, that's awesome, man. You got to send us pictures. When you go to those games, send us photos from your seats, man, because you know we'll put them up. Buddy Moles, do you think we'll get Adams from the Raiders? I don't think it's going to happen. I think when you consider Adams' age and his contract, I think the Niners would also ask for a pick. And I don't think the Raiders would be willing to do that. I also just don't think the Raiders want to trade Adams unless Adams comes out and says, like Aiyuk, I want out. And as far as we know, Adams has not come out and requested a trade. So until that happens, I don't see him getting moved. I know he's had some frustrations. We saw it in the receiver doc. But he did just come out recently and speak well about Aiden O'Connell specifically. So I don't think Devontae Adams is going anywhere. But I could see a Terry McLaurin or a Jahan Dotson from the Commanders. You know, I could see a team giving up a first-round pick. You know, I could see the Steelers deciding to part ways with maybe one of those. They have a lot of receivers. Not a lot of good ones, but some depth. So maybe they part ways with one of their younger guys in addition to a pick. If that's what the Niners want, maybe the Niners just want picks. And they say, we're fine rolling with Deebo, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. Nick Dolfer would rather keep Aiyuk. I think perfect world, you keep Aiyuk, you meet in the middle, you put everything behind you, and you go into this season and try to win a Super Bowl, man. Just put it all behind you. F Dallas. F those Cowboys, man. F them. They're in a weird spot. Are they going to pay Dak? CD? Micah Parsons? They're in a weird spot. I like this. Let's get those F Dallases in the chat. Spam F Dallas, baby. Because they are in quite a interesting spot as a team. And I love to see them struggling. I'll tell you what, we're located here in Dallas, the Chat Sports Studios, and I love going out seeing Cowboys fans, especially on those weekends, and in shambles about their teams. Would I trade BA for CD? Man. If Aiyuk 100% did not want to come back, if Aiyuk is like, I'm absolutely not playing for the Niners, I think CD, I don't like the Cowboys, but I think CD is a very good player. A very, very good player. So if you have to move Aiyuk, theoretically, that's a great return. Even though it's still left Dallas, Tyreek. It's still left Dallas, but shoot, CD, Deebo Samuel, Kittle, McCaffrey. Oh, he'd be the wide receiver one, absolutely. Absolutely. He's a top 5 receiver in the league, I think. Closer to 5 than, the higher end, but 5, 6, he's up there. He would be your true wide receiver one. Yeah, Black Mask. Love seeing the Cowboys fans disappointed every year. Love it.
All right. For Dolfer and the Legends, a beer boot.
Let's go.
3 beers, 1 boot for the faithful San Francisco.
Chug, 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 chug. Everyone get those chugs in the chat. Let's go, baby. Tyreek's typing it. Let's go. Help Chase out. Chug, 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 chug. Loso way. Type in chug. Let's go. Let's go.
Woo! Woo! Prost for Dolfer. Who do you think you are? I am.
Hate me or love me. All you can do is watch. Woo! Lot of liquid.
Think you're supposed to turn the boot at the end? I actually did that. There was a slight little turn because of that bubble.
Subtle.
Little subtle turn. Otherwise, you got to eat that bubble. All right. We're hopping out of here. 4 segments down. More content to come this weekend. Joe G, do you ever cover the San Francisco Giants? No, not really. I do cover some baseball here. Baseball is actually my first love as far as becoming a sports fan. I fell in love with baseball, and that was part of the reason why I wanted to become a sports broadcaster as well. But so tied up with all of these NFL duties, I would need a team to help me do even more content because I'm doing the most videos at the company per month with everything that I do. All right, for Chip, I'm Chase. For the faithful, I am going to be in Mexico from Thursday to Monday and then Maine from Tuesday to Tuesday. But you'll see a lack of live shows. But if breaking news happens, I'll go live regardless of where I am. And we'll still continue to give you coverage and content every single day. Just a heads up there. We out. Catch you later. Peace.